Hello. I woke up with a thought this morning and I wanted to share it with you. Um, I was about awake, half asleep, and this thought came to me. And it was a voice, and it was telling me, we're all still babies. We're all still needing to be held, to be fed, to be cared for. We are crying for somebody to come take care of us. There are 350 million people in the United States alone thinking that somebody else will come and take care of them, will be responsible for them. 350 million people willing to be controlled, waiting for a man, an office, or a title to tell them who they are, what they need to be doing. Does this not concern you? Does your soul not tremble just a little bit at the thought of that kind of helplessness that we display when we do that? How did we get here? And I'm being dead serious, people. How did we get here? Can you not envision a life where somebody else is not dictating what you do, where you go, how you do it, who you are about, who you're not, what you need to know, what you don't need to know? Is there not something in your soul saying something is really, really wrong? In my dream and thought, I was seeing just people being hurted, being moved, pushed, right? Why? Because we're infants. When we are unable to care for ourselves, unable to think for ourselves, unable to act for ourselves, unable to govern ourselves, we actually become a burden to society. When we truly believe and have convinced ourselves that the only way to live is following what somebody else is going to tell us, we are being infants in society, unable to fully stand for ourselves, walk for ourselves, speak for ourselves, speak truth, no matter who it might offend or what it might do. We became a burden to society. Imagine 350 million infants. Society cannot even evolve with that level of dependency. And yet we're here crying. We cry because the government is shut down. We cry because the senators don't hear. We cry because of Democrats. We cry about Republicans. We cry about what? About everything that we chose to give ourselves to obey, to serve, to listen to. Others dictate who and what we need to be, and then hoping that they will make the right choices for us. We are here because some people, powers, and principalities have realized that people don't know their worth. And they would rather be told who they are, what their life should be, what they must do, and what they must not do. This is the dream for anyone seeking power. It's been going on for so long that it is ingrained in the way that we think life should function. I like the Truman Show. Love it. From the first time I saw it, I'm like, ha, there's a message to this. My first thought is, I don't want to be in that bubble. Who's running all of this? Who's running the Truman Show? Who's outside? That's just my soul. My soul is constantly seeking not to play the game. Who's moving the pieces? Okay. The Truman Show is a perfect example of what happens when you are fed baby food because you're willing to accept it. as long as everything seems to be circling perfectly around you and your needs. That's why numbing is so common. Pick your poison: medication, alcohol, drugs, food, self obsession, obsession with entertainment and self, anxiety, fear. All of those are here to numb your soul because your soul knows better. Your soul does not allow you to be comfortable in this situation. Your soul is the one making you uncomfortable in life. And I took some notes. That's why I keep turning pages, because I thought it was this important. All those thoughts that you think are crazy, intuitive, deep, almost rebellious moments, those are moments of sanity. Those are moments of truth. Of course, you're scared in life. Scared of what the future is going to bring, scared of all the information that's coming that you don't know what is right and what is not, scared that others will control you. Of course, it's scary because in society, the majority of us are still infants. We cannot walk. We cannot walk on our 2 feet. We are still fully dependent on somebody else to govern us in order for us to live life. We have not exited the stage of infancy. No one has ever offered comfort, happiness, and carelessness as life. That only can happen as an infant, because real life is not that. Life is not easy. Life is real. Life is raw. Life is challenging. Yeah. But that's what makes us feel alive. That's what gives you the heartbeat. That is when your soul comes up. That is when your true self says, finally, I live my purpose. What keeps you alive is because your soul knows how to walk. It knows how to talk for itself. It knows your position in this life. You were made to learn, to walk, to talk, to grow out of the stage of infancy, independence, to a life where your thoughts and actions are governed by somebody else. And when you find yourself figuring out why you're here, what you were meant to do, what purpose you have in this life that goes beyond what other people or your understanding has been so far, what others govern from you, you learn to find yourself. And in doing that, you are alone, definitively alone. That is when you go from infancy to walking. You got to walk alone. No friends, no family, no society, no nothing. The walk is individual. And you must walk alone. See, when you start taking the first steps, then you start to depend on something greater than yourself. And that something greater than yourself is the Almighty, God, the essence of life. And I'm not talking about religion, because I outgrew the stage of infancy when it comes to belief in religion. Because I have found the true source of life is a direct connection with the Almighty. You know who you are, deep, deep inside. Amongst that fear, that anxiety, those stresses, those frustrations, somewhere inside of you, you know you are trapped in a reality that was not meant for you. And if you're like me, Maybe you did have dreams that were so much bigger than the reality you were given, and you keep hiding them because it's physically impossible in this reality to live out the dreams that you have. But trust that and follow that. Follow your instinct. Follow your urge to say no. Follow the urge to slow down. Follow the urge to stop appeasing people. Follow the urge to be yourself and to start walking as an adult, as an infant, as a toddler. Anything is better than the infancy stage. Okay? I teach business. And what I learned is that every business is just a cycle. The only thing that makes a business different is the owner's ability to challenge themselves. And yet, business is a perfect example of why we continue to stay in an infancy stage. A business owner knows that in order to grow, they can't continue to be on the job consistently. They need to hire, they need to delegate, they need to teach, they need to let go, they need to take a deep breath, they need to train, they need to create paperwork, you need to administer your business. And so many people avoid administering their own business. They avoid the planning, they avoid the visionary, they avoid writing things down, they avoid looking at their numbers, they avoid confronting their own issues because it is more comfortable and easier to just go back and do the work. We have been trained as a society to be infants. This is not personal to you. Everything in society is screaming this message to you that you need somebody else, everybody else, anything else in order for you to survive, in order for you to be. If we can't understand business, we can't understand self-governance. If we're only working a job to get a pay, still in the stage of infancy. Self-governance means you create something that doesn't exist before, that you create a place for you and your family in this world, for your legacy, for your history, for anything that was not created in the past. It is time for you to create. It's time for you to put it on paper. It's time for you to shut out the noise, to turn off the TV, to turn off the phone. We can't get to a point of self-governance if we can't even see, dream, or envision a life where we are fully independent of other men and we are fully dependent on God and fully in tune with our soul and our purpose to be here. I encourage each and one of you to think about this. Do you truly want to be an infant for the rest of your life? Or do you want to step out? Yeah, there's fear. Okay. Greatest blocking point at this point is fear. What if I step out? What if I lose my job? What if I can't pay my bills? What if? I've been there. Yeah. But what if you get stuck in the same place you are for the rest of your life and you never find out what you were here for? What if you actually don't get the blessings that you want in life until you take that step of faith? What if you actually took that step, you would recognize that there's a greater source that will sustain you? What if it's not actually fear, but it's a sense of freedom that your soul is feeling, an excitement? If you're even considering it, envisioning it, and dreaming something. My words are here not to make anyone feel comfortable. Comfort is death to the soul, and we are sold comfort all day, every day, the comfort of everything. When will you see that that is a trap? When will you see that that is the stage of infancy? When will you see that you're being a consumer, waiting to be fed whatever somebody else gives to you? But what if that's not your purpose? Okay. So how do you do that? 'Cause I just left it out here. How do you do that? Fear is control. Control creates fear. So when you are living in a state of fear, anxiety, pressures, depression, needing numbing, then you are not in the right place. Follow peace, your peace. Follow what makes you feel good. Follow what is good, what is peace, what is love. There is not a roadmap to each one of us. Our soul has been carved on this planet to do something. The journey of life is to go through each of these journeys, each of the stages. I call it like peeling an onion, because if you don't pass the infancy stage, you cannot get to the places you want to go, that you desire, that you think you see other people living, but you can't seem to get there. Because you have to overcome the stage of infancy. What happens in the micro happens in the macro. Meaning what happens here in my thought, in my mind, in my soul, even smaller, down to my cells, down to everything. What happens in the micro happens in the macro. So I call it an onion, because you can peel the onion. The layers are going to have the same lessons that you have to learn. There's no skipping. There's no skipping the journey. There is no skipping the lesson. There is no numbing yourself to wishful thinking or numbing yourself to desperation and a sense of loss. That choice is yours. But you can't get to the macro, to all the big things, if you can't handle the little ones. We need to start being able to handle more difficult conversations. We need to start being able to handle accountability on a different level. We need to start being more responsible about why we do what we do. We need to stop drinking milk from a bottle and start growing your own, building your own, collecting your own, creating your own, writing your own. Everything you need, you already have. So follow your heart, follow those dreams, follow the instinct. Have the courage to step out in faith. Because you cannot live in fear and believe that you're living with God. God is peace. Doesn't matter what religion you proclaim, doesn't matter where you show up every Sunday, it doesn't matter what appearance you give to people. If you have no peace, it's because the presence of God is not there and cannot be in a place without peace. That's why they say light shines, the darkness is gone, because the two can't coexist. So where there's peace, there's no fear. That's one of the lessons that we need to learn. Fear or faith? Faith wasn't just about a religious belief or a scripture verse in the Bible. Faith is the ability to step into the unseen. That is the whole goal in life. That is the whole leap from infancy to walking, is a step of faith. Take that step.